Okay, we have Ted Kooser. Hope I pronounced that right. More Than a Local Wonder by Carla Kenter, and it's illustrated by Paula Wallace. Carla is the owner and manager of Chapters Books and Gifts in Seward, Nebraska. She is a former elementary school teacher and instructor of college-level children's courses. Ted Kooser, More Than a Local Wonder, is her first picture book. When not reading, writing, or connecting readers with books, she is likely to be walking her grand dog, looking up the names of local wildflowers, baking anything that lists chocolate as an ingredient, or traveling with friends and family. She and her husband have 2 grown sons. Paula Wallace is an artist and illustrator, spending most days in her studio at the Hot Shops Art Center in Omaha, Nebraska. She has helped many authors tell their stories with her illustrations, and has written and illustrated her own books, including Choosing Your Days, which won a Nebraska Children's Picture Book Award, Mr. Reginald and the Bunnies. Wallace employs her love of stories and arts outreach and community engagement. Her work as fine artist have appeared in many exhibits in the United States and Italy, and is held in public and private collections internationally. Very cool. So, the park is very green today. And I don't know, depending on who you talk to, 1 inch to 1.5 inches, approximately last night, along with a fair amount of wind. So some things are scattered about that aren't normally, but most of that the city guys will clean up in the morning, and I think some of the non-city stuff people have already started some of that today as they can. There'll be lots of chainsaws and things like that. In the city of Lincoln, Nebraska, as the 1960s tumbled by, Ted Kooser turned an ordinary refrigerator box into something extraordinary. Out of that box soared a great blue hen, named an old black dog, trailed a red fence with no meat on its bones. Ted sat in that box and wrote poem after poem after poem. Kind of walked around and read the story a little bit before I filmed. I think everyone would find it quite interesting. Yeah. Branches and back of pickups and stuff. Individuals already started. I'm just gonna wait on the city guys to report back and get those areas done. While the city slept, Ted painted with words portraits of the places and people he loved. His molasses-picking mother, hat-selling father, and sister Judy made their appearance. Even his neighbor, Mr. Posey, Waddle floated down the dark streets of Ted's poems. Ted created visions of a man on a bridge, a house all up by trees, of his Uncle Tubby's magical recliner, his grandparents' white bungalow, and his granddaddy's Standard Oil station. Yep. Pool's closed. They've had the puppy plunge. The kids start school, I think, Monday or Tuesday. So. But those poems began even longer ago, back when he was a wiry Iowa boy called Teddy. Teddy was not skilled at sports and didn't quite fit in, but he was determined to find his place in the world. Apparently his pencil is a fishing pole. Cute. On summer days where other kids played ball, little Teddy gulped an ice-cold grape knee-high soda in front of the filling station his granddaddy ran. Around him, the old farmers turned out tails the way their old tractors turned over the dark, rich dirt. Teddy soaked in those stories, and they grew inside him like seeds in the July heat and Iowa rains. Farmers market on Wednesdays right now, so I think I got some good stuff from what I understand. On the summer evenings, while the bullfrogs croaked and the cicadas sang, Teddy perched on his grandparents' front porch, listening to yarns his aunt and uncle spun of a curious cousin in a high-topped buggy, of floating down the town of Osterdocks, flooded streets and boats, of a fierce naval battle on the nearby Turkey River. These were true stories, so they said. They wrapped around Teddy like a cozy quilt. There's a branch that's confusing. Broken branches or a random box or bang. Got scattered by the weather. We'll get her cleaned up here shortly, though. One April, Teddy received a birthday present. He saw himself in that book, and a character named Lentil. A clever boy found his way in a small Midwestern town. And for now, there's still water in it, although it's a little lower than normal. And that basketball goal is not normally in the pool. Teddy wanted to be the hero of his own story. So like until one day, when the old man paused for breath, Teddy swallowed his soda and spun a wild tale of his own, of his adventures with a talking terrier named Joel. Joel there. Okay. Temperature is better today, but I don't think the humidity is. It feels up there. Teddy was finding his way in grade school when he wrote his first poem, and high school poems and stories flew from his pen. All the while he soaked up the farmers' tales and took notes of their techniques. His aunt and uncle's stories bloomed inside him, like the iris in the spring. Books filled the empty spaces in his soul and fired his imagination. There's a garden in the box. I mean, kind of blowing. There's a bag later on. Kind of blowing sideways for a while, I think. I don't think clock 90 in Franklin, but in town not too far away, so it was pretty. I think there at least for a bit. Pretty calm now, just a light little breeze, like it didn't just try to kill us last night. But it's the Midwest. Year after year, Ted worked long hours, but he always made time for writing. His aunts and uncles and friends, the gravel roads he walked, the dogs he loved, and the books he read, all worked their way into Ted's heart and mind, and back up through his stories and poems.
Just walk my bike. I was riding my bike all the way up here.
Yeah? It's a good spot to ride it.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I don't really know him, so I didn't want to necessarily add the video to that audio. Back to our story. People paid attention, readers put on their glasses, and soared with Ted's great blue heron. Ted's stories touched their hearts and took them on their own journeys. One day news got around that Ted had earned an outstanding honor. He was about to become the official poet of America. The whole town squeezed into the bookstore to congratulate him. Very cool. You just never know. Said Ted that day, "You never know what will happen when a curious little boy finds stories in the people around him and learns to write poems. When he fills the empty spaces in his soul with his own words and finds," and he says, you never know what can happen. You never know. I'm going to try to just kind of slowly scan some of this, and if you want interested, you can kind of pause your video and check that out. That's some information. Okay, a couple more of these and we're all done for this week. Okay. And again, she kind of gives Ted's story, so I'm trying to slowly scan it. It's just a lot to read. Usually these are more kids' stories, and there's not this much to read. Encourage everybody to look him up and get some of his work, and I think that's all like good job in featuring him and everything like that. So okay. The next few are just kind of poems that he has written. And we're almost back to the van, so I'm pretty sure I've got my steps in that I was looking to get. So that's all I got for today. About okay. This one's a little longer. I'll try to scan it slow. Okay, and then there's another one over here. Okay. Bit different maybe in the type of story, but definitely I'm featuring a local bookstore gal and a local artist and a local poem writer, sort of. Yeah. Okay. Selecting a reader. I do like the artwork. All right. Everybody have a good day. See you next time.